Hello everyone, this is Jayan Sriram and I'll be hosting this episode for you. Welcome to another episode of the CII podcast. The topic for discussion is sustainable futures, strategies for green product adoption in industries. In this episode, we talk about the shifting landscape of industry towards sustainability and eco-conscious practices. From the increasing importance of green products in today's consumer market to the essential steps that industry can adopt for greener and more environmentally friendly manufacturing, our conversation spans critical considerations in the era of heightened environmental awareness. Our guest, Mr. A R Unnikrishnan, a recently appointed chairman for CII GreenPro, will explore their initiatives harmonizing with India's goal of achieving net zero emissions by 2070 and delve into the envisioned future services that will propel the nation toward this target. Mr. Unnikrishnan brings over 31 years of industry experience. He began his career with Grindwell Group, which later became a Saint-Gobain company. Today, he plays a vital role in the growth of Saint-Gobain's glass business in India. Apart from his role at Saint-Gobain, he's a thought leader in sustainability, actively contributing to policy frameworks for the Indian construction industry. In addition to his leadership at Saint-Gobain, Mr. Unnikrishnan holds key positions in industry associations, serving as the chairman of CII Chennai Zone, chairman of CII Green Product Council, vice president of Madras Management Association, member of the Indo-French Chamber of Commerce Governing Council, CII Southern Region Council, CII National Manufacturing Council, Research Council of CSIR, CGCRI, and the Indian Green Building Council Executive Board, amongst much more. Thank you so much, Mr. Unnikrishnan, for making time for us today and joining us on the CII podcast.
Thank you, Jayant, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're very much looking forward to the conversation ahead. Firstly, congratulations on your new position as a chairman, although it's one of many. To get started, let us talk about your vision for GreenPro and how significant is CII GreenPro's role from a national perspective in the upcoming years.
Thank you, Jayant, once again. It's a great honor to be part of the GreenPro. CII had, thanks to many of its visionary leaders, started the Green Business Center over 20 years back. And it had many initiatives, starting with the Indian Green Building Council. And in 2015, it started the GreenPro, the Green Product and the Services Council, with the intention that we need to really bring in a credible rating or a labeling system for various products and services used largely in the building sector, but also something that can transcend to other sectors as well. And I think it has traveled quite a distance, thanks to, again, excellent effort by the different stakeholders within the industry, by the CII GreenPro team, and the visionary leadership of many other people in the past. Today, we have, I think, over 350 companies have really got their products and services labeled under the GreenPro. We have over 8,000 products which are covered, spanning around 30 plus categories. So I think it has come a long way, especially when we are, as a country, looking at carbon neutrality, and the buildings really account for a significant part of the carbon. And when it comes to carbon, it's also the operational carbon and the embodied carbon. Thanks to many good initiatives in the green building space, I think we have addressed a large number of the operational carbon issues. Now, what is really important for us to is really focus on the embodied carbon in the products. So, be it building materials or any other materials that go into different products from that point of view. I think that is where this Green Pro label really brings in a level playing platform for people to really compare which one to choose from that point of view. So this is what we call a level, it's what we call a type 1 rating system, which is based on certain performance and the life cycle analysis of that. So this has got immense potential to really bring in more and more categories. I'll maybe, as the conversation progresses, maybe I can throw light on some more opportunities that we see as time progresses.
Yes, of course. Thank you for that. And just to sort of broaden the conversation a bit, I wanted to ask you, what actions do you think India ought to be taking to implement green procurement across various manufacturing sectors in the coming years?
Yeah. No, I think the best example has been set by the building sector. As I mentioned earlier, thanks to the pioneering work done in the green building space, with the green building rating system and things like that, the entire supply chain in the building space has really got transformed over the past couple of decades. And it's not just the manufacturers, but also the different stakeholders involved in that, be it the designers who are designing the building, the construction companies, to the manufacturers. The entire supply chain has really gone through a lot of transformation. So thanks to that, today you have products and services which are really taking the sustainable path in terms of its manufacturing, logistics, and delivery and installation in the construction site. Thanks to that, I think today the availability, if somebody chooses to take the green path, take the route of sustainability, there are enough options available in the market. And I must again compliment here on the government for really taking the lead on this. Let's not forget that in a country like India, the government continues to be one of the largest developers, one of the largest construction investors from that point of view. And government has really taken the lead. CPWD and many other public works departments of different states have taken the lead to really insist on GreenPro label in terms of their procurement. So they are really led from the front from that point of view, really walking the talk. We have also seen many private companies, be it who are in the real estate space, or some of the corporates who are really also expanding in different parts of the industry, have also taken the lead. It's not mandated by anything by any regulation, but it's a voluntary decision taken by some of those leaders. Really, those are the leaders who really show us the way forward when it comes to green and sustainability. There are many who have really taken a decision that in their supply chain they will insist on a GreenPro label for whatever products and service they do that. So I think it's just the beginning. I'm sure in the years to come, we will see this becoming a norm, more than an exception.
Thank you once again for that answer, Mr. Unnikrishnan. And we touched on many of these points, I think, already. But just for a more overall perspective, with respect to the Indian industrial sector, what are some of the key steps that can be taken to make their products green and environment friendly?
There are multiple factors influencing how the industry would take this forward. One is from the regulatory point of view. I think there is more and more talk about. I think it's very well understood that there is a climate change, and therefore people need to be proactive in terms of actions to be taken from that. So there are regulatory steps taken by the government and many other stakeholders in the industry. The second is also the market driven actions. Today, more and more, we have the customers who are asking for it, who are insisting on our taking the sustainability path, and also products and services which are more green from that point of view. Therefore, it's not anymore a choice. It's something which one ought to be doing it. Now, in the industry, what we see is people are, you are familiar with the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 in terms of the CO2. People have a reasonable understanding on the scope 1 and scope 2, which is directly related to its manufacturing and the energy part of it, which is electricity and other things. But I think where there are still some haziness is really on the scope 3 part of it, which is really in the supply chain part of it. I think that is where something like GreenPro labeling and a rating system would really help people to make some sense out of what is their supply chain, where does it stand today, what steps need to be taken on that part of it. And in many sectors, even sectors one would imagine to be very, very difficult to really move to the green path, like cement and steel. I think many leaders have found fantastic solutions to really move in the sustainable way and make the products much more green. So I'm sure this is going to be a catalyst in really transforming the industry from that point of view. Now, it's not just in the building materials industry. I think many OEMs, for example, in the case of automotive, many OEMs are now really looking at how to make their supply chain more carbon neutral. So everybody is, on the net zero. As a country, we are on a net zero journey, and many organizations, many corporates are in the net zero journey. So it's very important for them to convert the entire supply chain into that, into that net zero journey, compliant operations. So there, I think this GreenPro label will be a great catalyst in helping not just in the building but in many other sectors to really transform the supply chain.
Thank you once again. And I think that's a really important point about really transforming supply chains. And just to move on, India has set a target to achieve net zero emissions by 2070, of course. And that's really, I mean, that's a really important target to look forward to. How are the initiatives taken by CII GreenPro aligned with the same?
Yeah. No, yes, as a nation, I think we have committed to carbon neutrality by 2070. Our Honorable Prime Minister made that statement in the COP meeting. If that has to happen, the building space has to be carbon neutral by 2050. I mean, that's a given. Only then we can, as a country, achieve that part of it. Now, when it comes to that, as I mentioned earlier, there are two types of carbon that we need to address. One is the operational carbon. Now, thanks to the green building rating system and the changes that we have seen in terms of the design, the choice of materials, and many other things, the operational carbon is to a large extent getting under control. Therefore, the focus really has to be on the embodied carbon. So I think one of the vision that we would have is really how can this GreenPro label transform the entire materials sector into more of a low carbon to no carbon. I think if we can really shift in that direction, later part, I mean, it will take a few years, but from a mere labeling to more quantified, carbon, that if we can do that, I think that the market forces will then drive towards more and more materials, more and more companies to move towards low carbon products and eventually to no carbon products. So, and I think it will also bring in lots of innovation in terms of the manufacturing methods, the kind of raw materials that one has to use, choice of energy that you would use for your manufacturing. So I think it's a big transformational journey that we are embarking. We may think 2070 is that's quite far, but many decisions that the industry has to take today will determine whether we will really achieve that objective. So in my view, I think this can really, the GreenPro also would evolve over a period of time to really move towards more low carbon, no carbon kind of products and services.
Thank you once again. I think that that's a really interesting set of objectives that you've laid out. And what are some of the future services envisioned by CII GreenPro which will support the nation to achieve this this net zero emissions target? We're talking specifically about the role played by CII GreenPro.
Yeah, there are multiple roles that we play from the CII. One, the Green Business Center, and also from the GreenPro Council as well. Apart from having a labeling system, I think we do a lot of advisory services, a lot of counseling for many of our members and different parts of the stakeholders in the industry. We also do a lot of awareness programs to people so that they understand how to really compare different products from a GreenPro labeling point of view, how to understand the embodied carbon and things like that. I think the most important change or further actions that you would see would be in the field of services. As you know, it's a Green Product and Services Council. We have traveled, I mean, of the 8,000, bulk of it are in the products category. In the years to come, you will see a lot more action on the services part of it. Now, services can be in the field of design, construction, operation, and maintenance of buildings. So I think that is one area where we see a lot of opportunity for the services to really, start looking at their carbon and get into a kind of a labeling. The logistics network, and as India is also really, planning to become a 35 trillion economy by 2047, I think we will have huge amount of exports happening from here, huge amount of manufacturing taking place in the country. Therefore, the entire logistics and the supply chain is going to be very, very critical. And we have a unique opportunity in India because we don't have to repeat the mistakes of many other countries did when they were on that development journey. We can really set our logistics, our supply chain right from really minimizing, if not eliminating, the carbon from that point of view. So a lot of our actions in going forward would be focusing on the services in terms of how we can help that sector to really become carbon neutral.
Thank you once again for that answer. And As we're winding up our discussion for today, I wanted to ask you about a very crucial um, sort of aspect or subject that CI GreenPro can play a huge role in, which is that how can CI GreenPro facilitate the increased export of Indian products in the present scenario of carbon taxing, which is really gaining a lot of momentum.
Absolutely. No, it's a very good question. In fact, world over, people are really looking at more sustainable solutions, and people are insisting on the green credentials of not just the products but also the companies who are supplying that. Now, when it comes to that, I think what is more important is the credibility of what is the certificate that you carry. Now, here it's very important to know that CII has huge amount of credibility world over. And when the G20 happened, CII was the primary, the support for the government in terms of organizing that, the B20 and all that. So CII has huge amount of credibility anywhere in the world. Second, I think the Green Business Center, which is really pioneering, whether it's green buildings or green product council, all that. The Green Business Center was set up with very pioneering vision way back in the early 2000s, and it has got huge credibility in the whole world in terms of green buildings or the people who are connected with sustainable development. So I think both from CII and the GBC, it brings huge amount of credibility when anybody goes from India with a certification or a label from CII GreenPro Council. So I think that's a big plus for people. The second important aspect is, we are very much part of the global mutual recognition network. So there are different countries have similar to us, what they have the green product and services labeling and certification mechanisms, and each of these countries can recognize each other so that you don't need to repeat that kind of a labeling or certification when you want to sell your products or services to some other country. We are very much part of that network. In fact, we already have recognition from a few important countries, and in the years to come, you will see that getting more wider, especially since India is also getting into more trade agreements with many countries. So that will be a focus for us to see that we have mutual recognition from many of those countries, so that it's very easy for products manufactured in India to really find markets and customers elsewhere in the world.
Thank you. And on that note, we'll end this podcast discussion for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Unnikrishnan, for joining us, making time for the podcast today, and sharing your views and insights. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you, Jayant, and I wish a great journey for us to towards carbon neutrality for the country. Thank you.